Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. So for everybody else's benefit, like as I said, we'll walk through. So what this session is all about, or what this 8 to 9 or 10 weeks, what we will be trying to do, or what you guys will be gaining out of this discussion and sessions would be trying to understand, get your heads around understanding what cybersecurity, what's different components of cybersecurity, why do you think you can choose this as a career, and how fruitful that can be if you are able to excel in this career, right? Um, so the first things which we'll be talking about is nothing but what is cybersecurity. Um, Everybody knows probably if people have experience or have knowledge about it, as well and good. For people who don't, so cybersecurity is basically nothing but it's providing protection to your systems, network, program data, and your money, right? Because in today's environment, in 2020 or 2019 year, your data is your asset, right? The moment you lose it, you lose your money, right? It can be your digital wallet credentials. If the moment you lose it, your money is like gone, right? We are seeing Google Pay hacks, people sending you fake web pages and asking you to do a Google payment from there. The moment you put it, people are trying to take over your transaction and dump everything in their accounts. So that means the shift from protecting your assets, your computers, your money in your lockers has is no more valid. Probably has of little value, but now everything digital is of more importance for an attacker or for an adversary. That means if your money is more important for you, similarly a company, its servers, proprietary information, its secret formulas, secret applications, everything what it's trying to develop, it's important for it. So your systems, your networks, your program, your data, what the company generates every day is more important for them. And that's how cybersecurity comes into existence, that there is a requirement for somebody to come sit, look at this every day in day out, and then start letting them know when something goes wrong and then try to protect them. It's not easy because attacker need to get it uh, right just once, but for a defender we need to get it right every time. And it's like, imagine yourself playing a cop, right? You are standing in a park. You got 10,000 people around you, or say suppose 500 people around you. Everybody is a suspect for you, from a little kid all the way to an old fellow. You cannot trust anyone. You never know. A kid can be a dangerous fellow who's just planting a bomb or just trying to pick pockets. Old fellow can be the same thing. So you cannot give until unless you have verified that that person or that entity is clear, is not a malicious person. You cannot give a clean check. Similarly, in your environment, you have to know what is wrong and what is normal, and then get right about your security every time. And that's what the importance is all about, right? So you say that the moment somebody withdraws a amount from your bank without you intentionally giving it to him, you raise a complaint. So there is a back end team which is actively looking at that. If you suddenly withdraw, say suppose 1 lakh rupees from your account, immediately you get a call from your bank saying that, hey, you know what, you have withdrawn 1 lakh rupees, did you do it? So it means they are actively looking at what you're doing. Your banks are actively looking at what you're doing. How do they know 1 lakh is an abnormal amount? Because your traditional transactions can be around 10,000 or 20,000. So this is a primary example that there are algorithms, there are people sitting behind, there is some kind of teams, there is some kind of alerting mechanism sitting is there everywhere for you to know that something is going wrong. Your Google, somebody, if you access Google from your new account or new phone, you get a prompt. Hey, you know what? Somebody accessed your Google account from a new device. Are you sure that's you? See, everywhere security lies. It's not just about the company, but you yourself have to protect your data, and you cannot blame anyone, right? Um, so moving on, why do you think cybersecurity is important? There is a serious skill gap. I've been in this industry for last 15 years. I've been managing teams for last 10 years, I think. And then most of the time, if you are looking out to find a decent cybersecurity knowledgeable guy, it's difficult because half of them don't have it, half of them are doing just for the sake of doing it, and I don't have anybody like college graduates like you guys taking up these courses. So it means people who are available are taking the advantage of this gap, are trying to learn more, or are grabbing jobs with higher salaries. But still, the skill gap is there. You might ask, there is AI, there is machine learning, all type of new technology is there. Why is that not reducing the skill gap? AI and ML can only do so far, right? When you say artificial intelligence or machine learning is something called as learning. So you have to feed data to tell him what's right, what's wrong. But all the while, do you think companies will spend that much enormous amounts of money to buy an AI and ML based solution? I don't think so. Let's take an example of economies of scale. How many big, Forbes 500 companies you have, right? Not more than say 1 lakh companies. So do you think the 1 lakh companies are running the entire global economy? No. There are, I think, rest of the 80 or 90% or 70% of the economy is run by something called as small and medium scale enterprises, which cannot afford to spend that much amount of money on these type of bigger technologies. And that's the reason they try to hire private companies to look at their security. And these companies are paying very minimal amounts to get their security checkboxes saying that, yes, I have a security team looking at my logs, and that's what they are doing. Your Cognizance, your Wipros, your how do you call Infosys, Tech Mahindra, all these companies are running huge MSSPs, anywhere from 200 to 300 people SOC, and catering to around 30 to 40 customers. But still, that's not sufficient. Everybody in the team is doing at least 10 to 12 hours of job every day without even knowing them. So that's the reason the skill gap is enormous. We need people like you guys who are interested in cybersecurity to come and join the workforce, and then be the part of ever-growing, requirement for skilled resources. So what do you need to learn even to get into cybersecurity? It's not a rocket science. It's not difficult. It's not something that you can say that, oh, I don't know what cybersecurity is. I don't know what network is. It's all, if you think that it's your college curriculum, it'll be pretty easy. So you live your life like a college graduate or a college student for the next, say, suppose 2 or 3 months, then probably you'll understand how easy is that. So the first things which you need to know in terms of getting into cybersecurity would be strong understanding of what a network is all about, right? Your networking knowledge is important. You need to know what is a switch, what is a router, what is a server, what is a client, how does both them connected, what is optic fiber cable, what is an OSI layer, everything in that. So once you understand that, that gives you a perspective about how a bad guy or an adversary or an attacker can come in and use that infrastructure to his advantage, and what's wrong. I mean, like, take the weakness out of it and then say that, I can go and attack this, right? So it's important for us as security professionals to understand how the network is set up. Then the concept of basic concept of CIA comes in: confidentiality, integrity, availability. This is the very phenomenal, the ground rules of information security. It means you have to have your information in confidentiality. Whenever you send an email to somebody else, should be confidential. Nobody else apart from the intended recipient should get the email. Integrity is that if you are sending him 100 rupees cash, the end person should not get like 90 rupees or 99.1 rupees. It should get 100%, right? So it means the integrity of whatever you're sending across to the other person has to be 100%, right? It should not be tampered with by anybody in the middle. And then the availability. Availability is nothing but like example of your Gmail server. You expect your Gmail servers to be up and running 24/7, 365 days with 99.99999, any number of 9 as availability. You get up in the night, you check your email. You get up at 3 o'clock, you check your email. You get up at 4 o'clock, you check your email. The email is down. You get frustrated. You will not be able to sleep. It means unknowingly that downtime has actually hampered you, right? You're talking to your girlfriend on WhatsApp video call. The video call doesn't work. you get frustrated. You look for other opportunities. It means the availability has actually caused WhatsApp is business, right? So it means if availability is of utmost importance for a company, apart, along with confidence and integrity, because the moment your services are not available, your customers will get frustrated. They'll move on to other alternative or competitive products. That's dangerous for you, right? That's important for you, even for an information security standpoint. That if availability is not there, it can be based off an attack as well, right? So that CIA triad is something which is important for everyone, and then you should understand what is it. Don't buy hard it. Understand the logic behind why do you use confidentiality, integrity, and availability as a triad for your cybersecurity. Moving on, you will hear a lot of terminology called hacking, ethical hacking, white hat, gray hat. It's all a fine line between a hacker, ethical hacker, right? Um, ethical hacker is a good guy, hacker, cracker, bad guy. Ethical hacker can become a bad guy the moment he gets valid information. Suppose you are an ethical hacker in an organization, like part of a red team, which is what we call as an attackers, who are intentionally being hired to attack our organizations ever so often to understand how solid our organization security is. So these ethical hackers will try to attack. If these guys try to use the findings against the company for their personal benefit, they become hackers or insider threats. So there's a very fine line between ethical hacker and or called something called hacker or hacking. Um, so some of the terminologies you will come across more often in cybersecurity is your threat, your vulnerability, your risk. So in a nutshell, vulnerability can be a weakness in your application or in a web browser or any other application for that matter. Okay. The threat is a adversary or an attacker taking advantage of that weakness, right? So suppose I have a weakness. Let's a very basic example. I Kishore have a weakness for ice creams. Somebody comes and says that he wants to exploit my weakness, right? And I am a security guard at some XYZ big company, and he wants to get in. What does he do? He recons me, he understands my background, he comes back and say, hey, Kishore, I got something for you. This is a free gift for you, an ice cream for you because of all your help which you have done in this company. I am from HR. I will not know who the HR is. If I don't know, he'll exploit that. So my weakness is saying that ice cream. I said I'll take this couple of ice creams and say that what, I forgot something in the office. Do you think you can allow me? I said, since he offered me an ice cream and I'm weak and I'm more eager to eat the ice cream, I said, okay, go. So it means he has actually exploited my weakness to take advantage of it and then breach the physical security, breach the organization in terms of get into the organization. Then what happens? What he does, he is trying to take advantage of the assets, right? Your servers, your personal desktops, or anything which you can take advantage or take away with him. In this example, is what is a loss for you. The risk in all these things together is the financial loss a company will have to occur when this weakness is taken advantage of, and then the asset is lost, right? So it means risk is nothing but the amount of money you will have to repay or pay towards regaining or restoring your services. So suppose if the attacker, actually the guy who actually penetrated the office by giving me the ice cream or taking advantage of my weakness, he picks up a critical server. He just takes a server, pulls the hard drive, puts it in pocket and walks away. And it has got almost all the information for or about all my customers which the company is providing. And if I have a backup, well and good, but if I need to restore, how much of a money I need to pay is what the risk factor is. Say suppose I don't have a backup and I need to completely rebuild the data, it means I need to shut my shop down because I don't have a backup for that. It means that's the difference between a company paying for an attacker or paying for the risk or vulnerability or of a threat actor being trying to take advantage of that risk or vulnerability, and then we repaying for that is what all is the security is all about. So if if say suppose this company was intelligent enough to have a security guard like me, but also thought that since Kishore is weak, he cannot stop all the attacks. They put a biometric control or an access control in the gate. So even though attacker was able to get to the main door, he was not able to get to the first gate or even get enter the building because he did not have the access controls or the swipe cards. So it means the company was intelligent enough to identify the assets or put redundant controls where attacker was stopped even before getting in, right? That's something called as layered security. You put layer after layer after layer after security so that attacker, even they breach the first layer, they have another layer to breach, right? So these are all some of the very basic security terminologies which you'll come across. Moving on, as I said, the ethical hacker and a hacker are somebody doing legally, somebody doing somebody doing legally, somebody doing legally, and then somebody trying to break in. Just a second, guys. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I was saying that ethical hackers and hackers. So these guys, as I said, there's a very fine line between a hacker and ethical hacker. Ethical hacker is more towards saying that I am genuinely trying to find out loopholes in your security. Uh, yeah. Okay. So that's the fine line between a hacker and an ethical hacker. That the ethical hacker will actually find the vulnerability and disclose it to the company, while a hacker would not. So if you have actually heard about the FBI, they have a list of tools which they used it against the applications like Windows operating system and other operating systems, where they hid it intentionally from the Microsoft guys. But when it came out, it was a big ruckus. That they have to explicitly disclose all the vulnerabilities they find out in an application, so that the end users are protected against this ones, the basic attacks. So the ethical hackers his job is to find out what these loopholes are and then let the company know so that they can better protect it. But hacker will not do that. Hacker will use it to blackmail you and to take advantage and to extract money out of the company, right? Um, Moving on. So how what's the attacker's mindset to begin an attack, or why do you think he's basically attacking everyone, or what's the gain out of it? So attackers, the first thing he has a motive that he wants to break into HDFC Bank, and then steal XYZ amount, uh, for his own purpose. So that's his motive. What does it do? He tries to find out. He tries to walk into the bank. He tries to find out who the employees are, how they do the transaction, what type of applications do they use, whether it's available on the internet. He'll probably make good friends with one of the bank employees. And then if somebody like me who's working there probably take advantage of my weaknesses. He'll try to get to know how the bank really works, what are the backend systems, the IP ranges, the employee access cards, where the money is lying, how the money is transferred from one location to other location. He'll try to find out everything, how the operation happens in a bank. Then he'll try to find out a weakness, right? Try to find out a weakness where by taking that advantage of the weakness, he'll get the maximum advantage and he'll be able to achieve his target of either breaking into or getting access to the server, which actually does the money transaction, and then he transferring money to his own account. So motive, method plus vulnerability is what the attacker will look for when trying to break out or plan his attack forward, right? So attackers are very methodical. They are very planned. They test their own systems or their own processes well before even they start doing it, right? So I think I gave them an example. I think last time when I gave them an example, there is something called as a Operation Glowing Symphony, which was done by FBI. Okay. Okay. Hold on. So yeah. Uh, so that's how he does it. So the Operation Glowing Symphony was more about um, the attackers or the FBI guys actually tracking the ISIS movements even before they were famous or they started taking over the the countries like Iran, Iraq, or Syria, whatever that is. So it means they were trying to track all the bad guys, and the one once the ISIS guys started propaganding or sending propaganda on the internet, and then trying to spread the videos about people getting beheaded and all these things, they started taking out their infrastructure, right? But they were tracking these guys well before even they were famous. They were sitting back and trying to understand what these guys were doing, how they were trying to hide their existence, and then trying to send their messages or post their messages on different chat boards or in different forums where people get influenced and then they join the ISIS group, right? See, so yeah. So the most common operating system for us for attackers to use is Kali Linux. So we will do a demo. We will try to run with applications. We'll try to see what can be done. Install Kali Linux on your machines. I will not do a full hands-on, but we'll try to see what tools are available. How can you use it? And then on some public websites, or you can install two VMs on your machine. Have a Windows 7. I'll try to guide you to install a Windows VM and then try to see how you can connect to each other on two VMs, have a Kali and then have a Windows machine and then try to see if you can scan each other on your environment. So some of the attacks which you will commonly hear about is virus, worms, malware, ransomware, salami, DDoS, phishing. So these are very common base attacks which you'll hear. Virus, you all know it's a computer virus. It comes in and does nefarious things without you knowing. It starts moving the mouse or slows down. The recent most one is the crypto miner, which basically is nothing but it uses your CPU's processing power um, to mine cryptocurrency. It's not just your machine, probably hundreds and thousands of machines. Excuse me, hundreds and thousands of machines on the internet, which will be used as a crypto miners, which will be it's not attacking basically. These crypto miners is nothing but they are just trying to use your CPU's bandwidth to do some transactions which you don't want to do it. So basically, you will not be able to use any other application apart from your browser until unless you don't kill that particular browser or kill that application. Yes, Harshal, have you have raised your hand? Anything you want to know, Harshal? I don't think so. I'm unable to mute you. But if you have anything, can you post it on the chat? Okay. If you don't have any questions, I think we'll move on. So as I said, yeah, the crypto miners, the ransomware is the most common one. The attacker sends you, tries to encrypt or encrypt all the files on your machine and ask you for a ransom, like pay this amount or pay these bitcoins. I'll be sending an unlocking key, and then you can basically unlock all your files. But that doesn't work out. So okay, yeah, Ashish, go ahead.
Yeah, sir, sir, what is phishing?
phishing is a way for me to lure you or sending you an email which looks like as if somebody close to you have sent or somebody you already know, like a bank or a person. So this guy will fish you in opening that email and opening that link or an attachment. So the email will come from ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank if you have an account in that, or somebody from say suppose you're like Ravi sending you an email. Looks like Ravi sending you an email, but he's not really sending you an email actually, but it's somebody else. So those emails comes to you and you look at the sender. It says, oh, it's Ravi or it's Kishore. I know these guys. Let me open that link. And they said, new course material or something like that. And then you'll probably open the link, and the link is not something which you'll expect. Like it looks like a Gmail link, or say that oh, this is a website link which you need to access your training material. You'll provide your credentials. So what I would say that the link looks like a Gmail or something like that, where you need to provide your Gmail credentials. Since you are trusting us, you'll provide the Gmail credentials. The moment you do it, the credentials are sent to the attacker, and you get redirected to the Gmail site, the original Gmail site. And that's it. Boom, you're done. Your credentials are basically taken away, and then and the attacker right?
Means attack through email.
Yeah. So the actually the phishing is nothing but a phishing email, right?
Yeah.
It can be in the physical phishing as well. Like he'll come and say that hey, Ashish, I've come from Sai Equity Institute, or I'm coming from HDFC Bank. We have said that your account is now for XYZ. So you'll trust them, and they'll show you the all valid proofs about he being as part of that organization or set. So phishing, in the terminology itself, is trying to lure you in terms of doing something which you don't want to do it, or you don't want to reveal.
And cyber spoofing.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
Spoofing.
Cyber spoofing is see that you need to understand what is spoofing in the first place. Spoofing is nothing but I am trying to imitate you. Like I can call somebody and say, hey, this is Ashish Deshmukh speaking. Do you think he'll know who is Ashish Deshmukh, how he looks like? If he doesn't, then I'll take advantage. If he knows, then I'm caught. Right? So that's where the spoofing concept comes in. In a cyber spoofing, I'm trying to imitate somebody else, right? It can be IP address, it can be an email address, it can be person itself. I can take your Aadhaar card and put my own, right? If I give it to a shopkeeper, do you think he will know the difference between that Aadhaar card, specifically spoof and manipulated? Do you think he'll know? He will never know about it. So I am trying to spoof your identity, or spoof your email address, or spoof your IP address, and trying to do something else. When that happens, the recipient will see that, okay, it's coming from somebody I know, which is not.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's move on. So this is the link, or this type of Facebook page is a phishing page. If you see the actual URL there, it's something like facebook.some.cixx.6.com. But it's easy for attackers to download an entire website and then recreate it or rehost it on your own IP address or your own domain with your bot in GoDaddy, Google, or anywhere else. It's easy. You can actually host any website by dumping that website into some place and then do it. So this looks like a Facebook page, but it's not a Facebook page. Right? Look at the intelligence of that guy who says Facebook, not Facebook. If that CIXXX or whatever.com is not there, you'll actually believe it's Facebook, not Facebook. Because half of us say that, he'll hardly look at the URL when you are trying to open or clicking on a link. Right? So, yeah, it looks like a Facebook URL, or it looks like the page looks like Facebook, but it's not. What happens? As I said, you provide the credentials, it goes to the attacker. There, he will redirect you to saying, oh, wrong page, or bad credentials. He redirect you to the original Facebook page, and you'll successfully log in. You think that you have typed the wrong credentials, but that's not it. So guys, for whoever is on the call, as a security measure, whenever you're receiving an email or any email, links with email, try not to click open the link directly, but try to hover your mouse around the link on the link and then see what URL you are able to see there. So so Ayush, you asked for Burp Suit. Burp Suit is a completely different tool which you can use to intercept some traffic going between you and the website, right? That's a different tool. Yeah, yes, you can use it to spoof, or you can use it to tamper the data with what's going to your website. But again, that tool is used for whole different purposes, right? So did that answer your question, Ayush? Okay, thank you. Moving on. So as I said, the hackers are of varieties: white hat hackers, gray hat hackers, black hat hackers. Black hat hackers are completely, they are for nefarious purpose. Gray hat are between a white and black hat. You know, based on the situation, they can turn either white or black, or use their skills for malicious purposes. Um, uh, and and then try to take advantage. But white hat hackers are purely the bug bounties, or the bug hunters which are out there on the internet, which are trying to find bugs in the website and then try to report back to the organization to claim a bug bounty. These are all white hat hackers which will do it for the sake of good of the community. They're not the bad guys, but they will reveal how they did it and then try to tell the company how to protect it as well. These are called the white hat hackers. So this is a definition of what a white hat and gray hat is. So the whole of information security regime is nothing but we'll start off with the user education. So it means my company users need to be aware of what's good, what's bad, how do how bad things look like, how a bad email looks like, what a phishing email looks like. If they are not aware of that, that's something risky. And if they find a phishing email, uh, how do they want to report it to the concerned team? What is the basic information they should do it, or the basic steps they should do it, to protect themselves and their um, friends and then colleagues. That's something which we have to take care of, or the company will take care. So home and mobile working. So when they are working from home, what type of security needs to be provided? What type of controls needs to be in place? So suppose, if some of you are working and then you get a VPN access to work from home, you cannot directly connect to the company resources, right? You need to have a VPN access where you log in with your credentials, and then you will try to access company resources through that channel where nobody can trap or intercept the data what you're sending back in between your company. Secure configuration, so any routers, switches, your servers, operating systems, your applications, everything needs to be securely configured. You cannot have default configurations. So as I'll tell you an example, there, if you all know T-Series YouTube channel, right? So T-Series and a guy in US, I think called PewDiePie, were having neck-to-neck competition of most subscribers on YouTube. So the PewDiePie actually took advantage of a hacker friend who was a PewDiePie supporter. So what they did was they went out and found out printers connected to internet. They scanned the entire internet, found out that on which port the printers are connected, and they started writing a script where your communication will go onto all these ports and then send a test print. And you know what the print was? The print was, your printer is open to internet. Please go and subscribe to PewDiePie on YouTube. That print was sent to more than 1 lakh users across the globe. Imagine 1 lakh people getting prints, anonymous prints from the internet, telling them to go and support PewDiePie, because all of these were default configured. They did not take the precaution to stop or have their printers not to appear on the internet. If they would have taken that precaution, they would not have appeared and they would not have got breach or got default prints or prints from anybody else, right? So That's just one example. Probably there are other examples people have used to, so I want to take an example, say that I hate Kishore, or I want to kind of do something to this guy because I don't like this guy. Because he did not give me the ice cream the other day when the bad guy gave it. So what I do is I find his printer is attached to the internet. I gave him 1 lakh prints. His ink will get over in a matter of minutes. It's not a big thing, but it's something which I took advantage of his default configuration, right? Similarly, removable media. If you all don't know, is Israel and US together planned a cyber attack on Iran nuclear power plant, which is, and they created a virus called Stuxnet. It took them at least 2 or 3 years before they were able to really hone their skills on building this malware, because this malware was trying to attempt to compromise SCADA, which is industrial controls. Okay, I've got 2 hands raised. So I've got Zakaria and then Ashish. Yeah, go ahead and ask your questions, Ashish. So Ayush says Stuxnet. So yeah, so yeah, exactly. It destroyed nuclear 80% of. But how they did it is because they tried to identify who the nuclear professor or the guy who actually works in the nuclear plant, who has access to the admin console or to the system which controls the actual fuel rods or the controls. They gave him a pen drive, swapped the pen drive, which looks like his pen drive. He went and connected that pen drive to that system, which is not connected to the internet. They compromised it, and the whole nuclear program for Iran got destroyed. So what they did, it said, it override the controls and saying that the actual motors in the nuclear enrichment plants are spinning at 8,000 RPM or XYZ RPM for 3 minutes, and then they'll stop. But the system was showing that it stopped, but in the back end, these spindles or these enrichments were going on non-stop, and that caused a meltdown for them. And they caused them to shut down the entire operations, and it kind of put a hold for the nuclear program for next 2 to 3 years, I think, but they still restarted the program. Zakaria, do you still have a question? You can post it on the chat group. Yeah. So, Harshal, security and cybersecurity, as I said, the first slide, cybersecurity is nothing but protecting your own organization. So, security can come in physical security, perimeter security, but cyber, anything virtual, you have to start protecting it. Make sense? Or yeah, you said information security. My bad, I did not read the information security. So information security is nothing but trying to, this particular protection, what I'm trying to show here is the information protection, information security as per se, right, Harshal? You can see the screen. It's information security is nothing but trying to dictate standards, procedures, policies about how everything needs to be tied down, restricted. But when you say cyber security, it's actually dealing with an incident or actually dealing with a breach and trying to restore the services back to normalcy. Like if a malware attack happens, our cybersecurity team will be the first one to look at these attacks, and cybersecurity is the first line of defense for any organization. Information security on a very high level will tell what type of policies, what type of tools, what type of guidelines, what type of standards the entire organization should follow to adhere to an information security regime. Like, they should have all these bullet points in place to secure their organization. But cybersecurity is actively looking at and trying to protect any attacks from happening, right? And when it happens, they'll try to do it. Make sense, Harshal? Perfect. Thank you. Ayush, you are saying that cyber forensics. Cyber forensics is a different term. Probably, I think I'll talk to you about once I probably wrap up the slides. I'll come back to your question, Ayush. So let's move on. Companies with data breaches. You have got companies with data breaches like Yahoo, Equifax, Target, Sony PlayStation, and Anthem. This is what I want you to do, guys. Can you guys open your browser? Can you see my screen? Say yes in the chat if you can. Okay, perfect. So let's go to Information is Beautiful. You can go to this site, which is called Information is Beautiful. You can see all the biggest breaches happened till now. So this will load a bubble graph like this one. Okay. Yeah. You see this now? So these are all the breaches which has happened, in 2019. I think the site did not upload after the 1st of April. But yes, you see all these breaches happened. Facebook with 42 million users. Dubsmash with 162 million users, or whatever that number is. Indian Job Seeker, you have got 1,000, 10 lakh, 10 lakh, crore, 10 crore. 27 crore accounts getting, breached. So similarly, you have got all these breaches. You can go read about them, but yes, these have got breached, right? Um, so, so yeah, you can find the site. Information is Beautiful. Go there. You can see all the breaches which you can read about. Take one at a time and then read about it. So we just picked up a couple of them here. That's what it's written here.